Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, spiritual life coach. Thank you for tuning in to Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. These are tools for your awakening. A quote from the book from Blanton, Radical Honesty, How to Transform Your Life by Telling the Truth. Taking responsibility means a person no longer blames outside circumstances or other people or past events for the conditions of his own life. Before I go deeper into and begin this episode, I want to express firstly immense gratitude for the positive feedback that I've received about this series over the year. I'm really glad that so many of you are getting value from these explorations, and also to hear how they are inspiring you to go deeper with your own self-examination and with your own growth. So as a result of that, I've been inspired to actually expand on the format. And the way that that will take place is you'll still get these weekly episodes, but also for additional information and also prompts, if you use the link in the show notes, sign up to the Her Inspirations mailing list. First, you'll receive the Embody Her course, which is absolutely free and runs daily for 6 days. Then every week there will be an accompanying email for each episode. And that's going to include additional points for you to meditate on, journal and contemplate. And also if I find additional materials that I believe will help you in deepening your practice, then I'll include those too. So let's get on with the episode. Radical self-honesty is basically the foundation for full and true growth. If we want to have truth in all aspects of our life, if we want to grow, if we want to heal, if we want to be able to develop our discernment, that's especially pertinent in a world that celebrates being fake and being dishonest, and so few people find it difficult to really say what's on their mind. When we're ready to examine what's painful inside of us and understand how we got to that place, then we can recognize the patterns, the trauma, we can start to release the shame, and then not only that, we can start to expand to knowing ourselves and then also expand the caliber of person that we attract into our lives. And this is in-depth, it's challenging work, it's a lifelong endeavor, which is probably one of the reasons why most people will never embark on this. But it's something, like I said, if you really want to have truth reflected back to you, this is where it starts. So some of the aspects of radical self-honesty would start with facing uncomfortable truths, and this is probably like the hardest part, the most challenging part of it, is really looking at the parts of ourselves that we would prefer to avoid or deny, such as looking at our negative behaviors, looking at our negative patterns, really digging down into our limiting beliefs and seeing how they're actually restricting us from expanding into the world that we want to, or into the life that we want to have, telling ourselves that we're too this or too that, time has passed, we haven't got enough money, nobody will want us. All of these things are a lie, and this is a lie that we tell ourselves time and time again, that keeps us limited, keeps us small. So we need to really start looking also at any unresolved emotions. Are we still holding on to anger and resentment? Are we still playing a manipulative game to get people to behave to us in a specific way that will in the moment make us feel better because we're getting the response that we want, but down the line it's not really helping us because it's not true. So we have to look inward completely, and we have to be able to look inward with an eye of objectivity, and really look at what we're looking at, and then taking responsibility. What have our actions caused over the past? How have we hurt people? How have we hurt ourselves? How do we continue to hurt ourselves? What decisions have we made for ourselves and for others, maybe, especially if we are responsible for other people? And what were the consequences of that as well? And it's not always that these things turn out to be negative or bad, or, and this also is not just about taking on the judgment of other people's shoulds, because a lot of the time you make and take stances and make decisions that are for your own self-preservation, and yet will negatively impact somebody in some way, or you won't be able to meet them where they want you to meet them. And then I'm talking from experience, you kind of live your life with a veil of guilt over your head and not realizing that in the moment you had to do what you needed to do. But also, this is a point of power. It means that then you can start to see that your life doesn't have to be ruled by external factors that maybe it has, or maybe you've allowed it to be up until this point. But from now going forward, external forces, external ideas, ideologies, narratives don't have any power over your life, whatever they may be. You have the choice to actually steer the direction of your life. And this, from when you get a sense of what this empowerment means, can really kind of spurt your growth, really kind of pull you into a new space, and then start to be able to move forward. When you start to get to that place of radical self-honesty, after a while it's like nothing else will do. You've worked so hard to get to the place where you're like, okay, this is my truth. This is how I'm feeling at this moment. One, knowing that these things are not always static and forever, and they're ever evolving and ever changing, ever expanding. But in that moment, this is who you are and this is what it's about. And then when you've done all of that work, you don't want it to then be sullied by you slipping down into a moment of weakness, going into a place of people pleasing, removing boundaries that you've fought long and hard to erect and maintain. When you're at that place, and when you start to really get into what it feels like energetically to actually embody that space, so how you actually start to show up physically in the world, then you radiate something that will start to draw a different experience of life to you. Different people will come to you, and it means that also you need to be prepared for any kind of backlash. But it means that you're not going to pretend to be someone that you're not. You're not going to be feeling that you need to adhere into any societal norms or something that somebody else wants. You're happy to go against the grain if that means that you are being you. And the more that you're able to stand firm in all of that and all that will bring towards you, you're bringing more strength with your authenticity. The more that you do this is the more that you really start to learn who and what you are. You see exactly what you're capable of. You develop in ways that you could never develop if you're playing the wilting wallflower, the meek and the feeble game all the time. You can then start to look at areas in your life that, okay, this area needs me to pay it some attention. Where am I flaking out on this? Where can I actually change up? How do I move forward? Who do I need? Who can walk with me? Who can I speak with? Who is going to feed back to me the level of honesty that I'm ready for and want to hear? And then you don't berate yourself so hard for making mistakes. You see mistakes as opportunity for tweaking and course correction. You're always about evolution. You don't mind if something fails. You just experience that as, okay, that's a way that something's not going to work. We need to move. We need to kind of move to the left or to the right or up or down, slightly shift what we're doing to really get to the point of where we're at. And from that, when you just see how it brings out just a newer version of yourself, going back and stepping back into any aspect just seems ridiculous. Why would you, when you see how much is available to you as a human in your own skin by being you, this new evolved, constantly evolving, constantly growing version of yourself? But also you develop a way of being gentle with yourself. And this is not passive. This is being gentle, being compassionate with yourself, knowing that you need to show yourself love for the areas that you've made, what you may have considered errors. You decide to become your own best friend. It's the personal responsibility you grant yourself for you. You are your own personal guardian. You're responsible for everything in your life. And in that way, you become more compassionate. You are your own best friend. and you will have external best friends that you will be able to really meet. But then when it comes down to that, when if for one reason or another they're not able to meet you for one aspect or something, or you feel they've let you down or disappointed you, you know that you've still got yourself to lean on, and that in itself brings a strength. And even when it comes to really looking at areas that are there for improvement, areas that you may have viewed yourself as flawed or imperfect, you just see those as points where things can get better, instead of holding up and focusing on the flaws and all the things that are wrong with you and all the things that need to be gone over and over and over again. You see these as areas that gently need to be nudged and can be improved, like without kind of breaking down and digging into yourself and looking at all the ways that you're wrong. The healing journey is so nuanced, but sometimes we can get so caught in the loop of the healing loop that all we keep looking for are other aspects of healing that we want to do. While healing is a constant endeavor, there is a way of healing in an empowered way, in a forward moving kind of way, so that you actually meet it from an empowered point, seeing points where things just need to shift and turn, maybe need to be left to the side for a moment, maybe you need to just take some time and then move forward. So healing never becomes the crutch, because there is that potentiality for healing to become its own feedback loop. And when it comes to being authentic and true with ourselves, it means that we stop denying anything, stop denying all aspects that we have been able to use to deceive ourselves over the time. So we are being truthful about what is and what the reality is of where we're at, or what the reality is of what we want to do. If we want to embark on a fitness journey, we need to go, okay, this is where I want to be, but this is where I am. These are the mistakes that I've made. This is the way that I've neglected my health. And if I want something better, then I need to really be aware of everything. If we are looking at our finances and we want to make areas of that better, it's like, what aspects of my habits or my misunderstanding do I need to course correct? What beliefs do I need to iron out? If there are areas that we want to look at in the way that we want to show up in the world with our purpose, it's like, well, what part of myself does not believe that I'm not available to that as well? And stop denying that it's possible for you. All of these things are possible for you. And then when you are getting to the point of being more authentic with yourself, this shines out, because you're able to then say what it is that you need and stand firm in what you're stating about what your needs are. When it comes to relationships, in particular romantic relationships, we have a habit of kind of overlooking those early nudges and knowings that things are not really going to serve us, or kind of making excuses for people, ignoring red flags, and or not listening to when people tell us who they are straight up. We need to be stating what it is that we want, setting our boundaries, acknowledging our feelings for or against any situation as well, and be able to relate that to have those deeper relationships. And although it may not be met in the way that we would choose to have it met initially, we'll find over time that there are more and more people who just want deeper, who want authenticity, who want truth. And the more that we can be radically honest with ourselves about what it is that we want, and then really embed that into our psyche, then we can actually communicate that, and then therefore be able to tell someone with no wavering, this is what we want. And then we'll find who it is that we need will agree, and we can go forward and know that we're building again on a solid foundation. As we're being more honest with ourselves, we just get clearer about what it is that we want in life. We know what our goals are. We know what we value. We just become very quick and decisive and straightforward about what it is that we want and what it is that we don't want. And we state that, and we state that with compassion. And again, for people who are not used to that level of direct communication, it might take their breath away. They might call you rude and all the things. but it's just people getting to be more mature, more real about the way that we can move forward. This is what the world needs. We really need to have people really aligning their actions with their words, or their words with their aspirations, or what they truly, truly want. Getting to the point of truth and honesty with ourselves, it is all about facing those uncomfortable truths. It's really getting to know our own inner truths, looking at where we are strong, looking at where we are weak, and looking at where we have fears or insecurities, and deciding that we're not going to allow those things to limit the experience of life that we have anymore, because we deserve so much more. If you want to start healing, if you want to start growing, there is no better foundation than to build your future self firmly on the foundation and the bedrock of truth, which comes from you being radically self-honest. As you go forward in that as well, you'll start to build your self-trust. You'll start to develop more confidence with yourself, because you can see now how you're a person of your word. You don't get knocked over by external judgment or misunderstandings or any of that stuff, because also you realize that very few people are taking the road that you're taking. And you are a maverick in that way, and stepping forward, and then also inspiring those around you to maybe start to do the same for themselves. You're building up as well self-accountability, which then means again that you're going to say what you say you're going to do. And then when you start to see the results of your own self-accountability and keeping your own promises to yourself, when you see how that starts to show up in your life and how it shifts your life in a different way, it just expands on everything, and nothing else but that way of being will do for you. It also opens you up to true intimacy, because then, as you're being radically self-honest with yourself and what you want, and bringing all manners of relationships into your life, then as you're radiating that, that you can also be very truthful and open with the people that are around you, and open up layer by layer, and really get to the core of who you are, and have the relationships that we all desire deeply. But it's this lack of telling the truth about what it is that we want, or what it is that we're experiencing in our lives, that has been the block for that in so many ways. And also, when you don't have to think about the truth, it's easier on the brain. For those of you who have a lot to do, tell the truth. When you tell the truth, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to use your mind to kind of remember the details of the story that you've concocted for yourself. It's just a lower cognitive load. You speak directly from the heart. You don't have to remember anything. You just say what it is and where you're at, and it's easy. So if you're at the beginning of your road to radical self-honesty, things to think about, things to take into mind, think about being more self-aware. Look at the way that you're showing up in your life and in the world. Ask yourself, do you like that? Are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to find out who you are, who you really are, where your strength really lies? Are you ready to see the courage that you can embody, and ready to surrender into whatever it is that you find out about yourself? And this is not a giving up and fading away kind of thing. This is an actual floating into a power that can only really encompass you from a space of truth. Again, notice your intuition. Your intuition is always telling you something. So notice if you go into a new space, a new place, if you meet new people and you just get a feeling, you get any nudges, any sensations, any gut feelings, just kind of take note of that. We have a habit of overriding our initial truth simply because we want to be the good person and think great about everything. But sometimes not everything is like that, and we always get a sense about what something is straight up at the beginning, and often we override it, speaking from experience. And, passing it on, incorporating radical self-honesty into your life is worthwhile. And what I notice is that, yeah, not everyone is ready and available to that. But there are people that respect your directness. I come from the UK, I come from Britain, so, we're very good at kind of fluffing and stuffing and not really coming out with what it is, and it's almost kind of given as the British reserve or the stiff upper lip. But ultimately it just means that you're not expressing yourself authentically, just painted over by some beautiful language to kind of mask the truth of that. Speaking from your heart, speaking authentically, saying it what it is that you mean, but saying it kindly. And even if you say it in the kindest of voices, some people will be really shocked by that, because they have in their mind, even if they're asking you a question and they say, be honest with me, tell me what you think about this. The truth of the matter is they don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear a version of what it is they already have playing in their mind. So when you reflect back to them the truth, which is what they ask for, often it comes as a little bit of a shock to their nervous system, to their spirit even. But you're doing them a favor, you're showing them what truth looks like. And if you tell them, you know, this is the truth, you ask for the truth, I'm delivering it to you in the kindest of ways, not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but show you that this is what truth feels like when you're living a lie. It feels harsh. But the more that you start to live in truth, your own authenticity, then it's a different level of being. And then it gets to the point that when you're used to that strength and being around others who live in that strength, then being around people who want to dither and deny and lie and fluff and all of that stuff becomes unbearable to you. And you choose to stay away from that kind of exchange. I leave you with a quote again from Blanton and his book Radical Honesty, How to Transform Your Life by Telling the Truth. And I love this quote because I could have written this. It's my desire too. And the sentiment of this quote is possible for us and necessary for us in this world. But it's possible for us if we all endeavour to do our own work. The quote is, "For my own good, I want to hang out with people who want to find out what it would be like to live in such a way as to leave no unspoken words, no unfinished business. I want to be with people who are hungry for the truth. I want to spend time learning and sharing what they have learned rather than defending their images or reputations." Thank you once again for listening to Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations, and this topic this week was on radical self-honesty. And if you're receiving value from this series and you want to go deeper, then I encourage you to join the mailing list. The link's in the description notes, and you will receive additional learning points for you to meditate, journal, contemplate as you do your own self-work. And you will also receive the free Embody Her 6-day course. And then also, if you're ready to take the next step into your transformation with the support, with accountability, with radical honesty, contact me to find out about my personalized one-to-one spiritual life coaching. Find me on my website, carolmaywhittick.com, carolmaywhittick.com, Facebook, Carol May Whittick, Instagram, Kazmic, CAZMICK. Until the next episode, enjoy. Bye.